Well, the families of 4 children killed in a horrific accident in Sydney's northwest have been dealt another devastating blow.
A memorial planned for the site of the tragedy at Oatlands Golf Club has been knocked back. The board saying the design was too elaborate. And joining us now is Bridget Saker, who lost her daughter, Veronique. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Bridget. Can we just say that we are outraged on your behalf about the board's decision here? What would a permanent memorial mean to you, your family and the community?
Good morning, Karl and Ali. I hope you're both well today. Look, we are very devastated. Not only do we have to cope with the tragedy of the loss of our 4 beautiful children, but, having a commemorative garden and something that's, a place where the community and ourselves can go and honour and remember the children, I think is something really important to us and the Australian community. And it's not something that we asked for in terms of having a huge Taj Mahal, but just something that's quite simple and a beautiful commemorative garden that I think everybody would really respect.
So I need to take our audience into the Oatlands Golf Club board who's deciding all of these things, because what you're asking for, just outline, and I mean it's not even on the course per se, and it's not elaborate, it's not huge, it's very basic, but tell everyone what they've denied you.
Look, my daughter, for those that don't know, when hit by the vehicle, actually was flung over nearly 20 metres, and she actually landed on the golf course, about 3-4 metres from the boundary fence. And that pains me to think that the board is okay for a buggy or a person to just ride over where my daughter died. It actually eats into my soul. And I just don't think even the members have been informed by the board. I don't think they've been told. And Layla and I actually presented to the board. We pleaded and we continue to plead with the board to reconsider their decision. It's a very difficult thing for me to process. And I know Danny and Layla are in the same boat, but in particular for me, to think my daughter actually landed there and that's where she actually died, I find it very hard to cope with.
How is this in any way community-minded of the club?
Sorry, say that again, Ali.
How is this in any way community-minded by the club? I mean, I think all of Australia was impacted by this tragedy. Certainly the local community where you are. How is it the club, the board of the club, who won't even put this to the members, how is it that they've just said no to this?
Look, and that's what we're astounded by. The insensitivity of the board. Look, I even made contact with the president of the board and tried to understand why, and it's been very, very difficult to obtain any kind of reason as to why. It's, a sandstone sort of curved chair with four stones sort of knee high, so it's not invasive. And I just don't understand why they are in this position. I don't know why they are not communicating with us as to why, or the members. And it's not community minded. We actually have been doing our best to respect the process. They asked us to remove the temporary memorial that we had. Despite our emotional state at the time, we respected their decision. But it's just been very much one-way-sided, and I wish to God we could understand why.
So they asked you to remove the temporary memorial that you'd set up in light of what happened that day, the enormity of it, the emotions surrounding it. I can't fathom how anyone could be so heartless.
Oh, Karl, even the way they asked, it was just a text message that no parent wants to receive. It was very insensitive, very emotionless, and that's what we have to cope with. And we have enough to deal with. And like again, I stand here pleading to the board again to reconsider the decision, for the members to actually obtain the information as to the reason why their decision is the way it is, and for Layla and I to actually sit in front of the board. There were probably 8 men and 1 woman that are part of the composition of that board. We gave our heart and soul as to why this was important to us and to the community.
I mean, I think it's only fair. You want a place to grieve and remember your children. I know that the board has come back saying that it would be too elaborate and would unduly remind neighbours of the tragedy. What's wrong with remembering the tragedy? And would you consider something smaller?
Look, it's not elaborate. It's actually very, it's a beautiful commemorative garden. So I don't accept the word that it's elaborate, and I'm sure many others would agree with me. The tragedy, in Australia, we live in a countercultural society about grief. We shut down grief. So many people were shaken by this tragedy, and nobody wants to actually acknowledge that grief goes under the carpet. We all as a society need to understand what grief does to people. It traumatizes it. So when you hide it, what does it do? It eats into your soul. What does that lead to? It leads to depression, it leads to drugs, it leads to alcohol, it leads to domestic violence. Because we live in a society that this happened, shut it, move on, let's not remember it. But it did happen. And people would actually appreciate and respect the fact that they can actually go there. It's reflective, it's meditative, it's contemplative. So there's no reason why the Australian community would say no to it.
It's just an appalling decision by this golf club, and a lot of people love playing golf. I can't understand or comprehend how this would be something that the members would have a big problem with. But anyway, we'll keep pursuing this story for you, Bridget. We wish you all the very best. Our love and prayers are with you.
Thank you, Karl. Thank you, Ali.